What's up, everybody? Welcome to Move the Sticks. DJ Bucky back with you, and we are in the thick of preseason, Buck, which has given us an opportunity to take our first look at this rookie class, as well as some of these young players trying to emerge. I know we're not seeing all the starters across the league, but we are seeing some good stuff to evaluate.
We are seeing good stuff. I think there's a lot to gain from watching players perform in the preseason. And DJ, I think for us, we talk about these guys as draft picks for so long, but now we finally get to see them play and play in a meaningful game where they get meaningful snaps. And even though it may be just brief action, it's really good to see them now playing against pros, because now you're able to look at some of your assessments and see if those projections may work out for you, even though it's only one game.
All right, it's quarterback league, so we're going to be a quarterback podcast. We're going to focus on what we saw from the young quarterbacks, and that's going to be a mixture, right, of some young starters that are maybe a year or two in the league. What kind of progress have we seen from them? We're going to look at these rookies, some of these rookie quarterbacks that have popped and stood out, and then we're also going to focus on one specific quarterback battle that I think we both found pretty interesting, the developments that took place there. But let's start things off, Buck, and let's look at some young quarterbacks, not the rookies, but some guys that stood out. And let's start with Jalen Hurts and what we saw from him and his performance against the Jets. Took that huge shot on the sideline, but overall, I mean, I think you got to be pretty excited if you're an Eagles fan. I know it's a static environment, but Jalen Hurts looked good.
Yeah, he did look good. And I think this is exactly what the Eagles wanted to see from Jalen Hurts. Continued progress as a passer from the pocket to go with the playmaking skill that he already offers. We know that he can run. For him to be efficient, 6 for 6, 80 yards and a touchdown, moving the offense with his arm, we know that he's going to add a dimension with his legs. If he becomes a competent and credible passer, this offense is going to be very, very difficult to defend.
Yeah, one of the things I love, and you can see it in some of these highlights, he's getting his feet in the ground, like his eyes are downfield, his feet are firm in the pocket. He's not really looking to get out of it. The one time he did was the one he took the shot on the sideline. I thought maybe he could have climbed up and hit and stuck in there. But for the most part, I was impressed with how he got his feet in the ground. There was a poise and a calmness about him. Again, we're not overreacting. I know it's preseason. I know you're seeing static looks. You're not seeing starters. But those things carry over. Those are habit-forming things with Jalen Hurts. And I thought he delivered the ball accurately. And with him, when it does break down, being selective with those opportunities, he's a problem because of what he can do with his legs. So, it's a good offensive line. I think they're going to be able to run the football a little bit there with the Eagles. This is a chance to be a really good football team. If we see Jalen Hurts play with that type of poise and that type of confidence throwing from a firm platform, this is going to be a fun year for Philly.
Yeah, it would be a great year for Philadelphia. I've always believed that Jalen Hurts reminds me a lot of Dak Prescott. I thought that he could follow Dak's blueprint to be a successful start in the league. And I think we're seeing the progress where he's beginning to be effective from the pocket. He has all the intangibles and the running skills. If he has that to his game, it's going to be really hard to defend this Eagles offense. And he's going to be a player that can be a starter in Philly for a long time.
And again, we've said it with the Eagles. It's hard to be a bad team when you're good up front. And they've got a good offensive line with a lot of depth. They've got a defensive front that can come at you in waves. So that'll help the Eagles as they really get going here on the 2022 campaign. All right, let's stay in the NFC. Let's go to a second-year quarterback that we both really liked. Get a chance to visit with him in the pre-draft process, but then also, just kind of really liking his skill set. Didn't see much of Trey Lance last year. It is now his team. They came out, pushed all their chips in with him, and I thought in this version of Trey Lance we saw against the Green Bay Packers, you see it here, getting him on the move. I was impressed, Buck. They give you a lot of those heavy run looks, and then they can spread you out. So there's a lot to deal with, a lot to think about when you're playing this version of the 49ers offense led by Trey Lance.
Absolutely. And we've been really clamoring for Trey Lance to get on the field because we could only hope that Kyle Shanahan would have a lot of fun kind of building an offense around his skill set. The thing that we needed to see Trey Lance do is, could he become efficient enough in the pocket where you really could utilize the entire playbook? Not just the play action stuff, not just the RPOs, but some of the traditional drop back passing concepts. 4-5, 92 yards. You saw the big ball touchdown where he threw the ball down the field. That's been the element that's been missing from the Niners offense. They haven't been able to push the ball down the field and outside the numbers. Trey Lance's arm strength gives them the ability to stretch the team, stretch the defense. Now when you have to deal with that running game and a vertical passing attack, that is a very, very difficult chore for a defense coordinator to come up with a plan to stop both things.
Yeah, I look. There's not going to be perfect ball placement on everything with Trey. Like he's still growing, evolving as a pinpoint passer. But what you lose and maybe some of the efficiency you're going to gain with the explosiveness. And you saw that slot vertical from Danny Gray. By the way, Buck, are slot verticals still undefeated? I don't know that I've ever seen anybody stop a vertical from the slot. I feel like it's just one big play after another.
I mean, it really is amazing, like how much mileage you're able to get out of that play. Like it's one of those things that you just continue to see it over and over again. Man coverage, slot fade. They lure the corner up with a hitch route or an under route, and it's
So much
the
space.
nickel corner has all this space, and quarterbacks are so good at dropping it in over the bucket. Yes, a very difficult play.
Yeah, and I think you bake in the easy completions with Trey. You're going to get some of those boots. They're going to be easy, unobstructed view to the flat, dink the ball off, and then you're going to be able to go with that heavy run action. You're going to be able to take deep shots over the field. Now you're going to sit back there and kind of more of a static offensive look and ask him to dice people up in the middle of the field. Year one as a full time starter. I don't know that that's going to be him. I'm hopeful he can kind of grow into that, much as we saw Russell Wilson kind of grow into that. But early on, this can be an effective offense, man. It's a lot to deal with, and you factor in his legs and accounting for him in the run game. It's going to help out with that as well. So I thought good start, good look there from Trey Lance. 49ers have to be excited about what they saw from him. I want to get to one other quarterback, a non-rookie, second-year player. You were there in attendance for the Jags to see Trevor Lawrence, so I'll give you the first crack at this one. What'd you see?
If you're a Trevor Lawrence fan, you're a Jaguars fan, you have to be excited about what Trevor Lawrence was able to put on display. Ignore the numbers 6 for 12, 95. I think it was more the feel and flow that we saw from Trevor Lawrence. First play, we saw a double move right down the field to Zay Jones. But then he worked from the pocket, did some things that we saw athletically, ran some zone read plays, did a bunch of bootlegs. You can see now that Doug Peterson has really dug deep into that Clemson playbook, put some of the things that Trevor Lawrence did really well as a collegian, mixed in some of the bootleg stuff that should be natural for his skill set. Here we're going to see a little touchdown to Evan Ingram. Trevor Lawrence looked like the number one overall pick. I think you have to be excited if you're a Jaguars fan because it looks like your young quarterback is beginning to kind of blossom and flourish and become the kind of player that we thought he could be when he was the number one overall pick.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things that stood out to me. First of all, the arm just looked live. And I know you were there in person. You can gauge that even more so, especially when you're there in practice. But I thought the ball was jumping out of his hand. It looked like a legit big arm that he possesses. The other thing, and I talked to Orlovsky about this on the phone the other day when we were talking about the way he played in this game. The only thing I just want to see him continue to grow and develop with, Buck, is that he's so trained, right? So everything is Peyton Manning-esque in terms of on schedule, on time, on balance, delivering the ball beautifully. There's flashes where you see him loosen up a little bit and create. And there's one play, I think, going left where you saw him. He looked more loose and fluid and kind of reactive. So it's like there's a little tiny robotic tendency in there that you want to see him just kind of free up, loosen up, and let it go. It's one of those things you praise a guy for being so mechanically sound, but sometimes you almost can be a little bit too mechanical, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense. And in talking to him, he just talked about like the freedom that has come with like Doug Peterson being what he calls a teacher, not yelling, not screaming, but just kind of seeing the game as a quarterback would see like through the same eyes. And what Doug Peterson has done is really kind of made the game very simple for Trevor in terms of like, here's what you need to know. Here's what you like. What do you like? I'll get rid of all the stuff that you don't like. And Trevor's really taken to that. And so as he begins to own the offense, I think you'll see a lot of that stuff that we're alluding to with Trevor Lawrence. We'll see that stuff play out.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, though. He looked like the number one overall pick. Like that is the size, the athleticism, the live arm. Like that's what you want to see when you take a guy 1-1. So good sign there for the Jags. The new era gets underway there with Doug Peterson. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to hit on these rookie quarterbacks and some of the highlights we saw from them over the weekend. All righty, Buck, let's get some of these rookie quarterbacks and what we saw from them. I can lead us off here. Malik Willis and the Tennessee Titans and what we saw. I watched him and his tape kind of back-to-back with Trey Lance's tape, and I thought, man, there's a lot of similarities here in terms of maybe you'll sacrifice some of the efficiency in the passing game, but what you are going to get is you're going to get some explosiveness. You're going to get big plays down the field, and you're going to get the ability to kind of make a treasure out of trash, right? You're going to have protection break down. The play call is just not there. It doesn't work. And then you're going to see stuff like this when Malik Willis can reverse field and just make something special happen. So there's guys that can kind of make the X's and O's pop off the paper. And then there's guys like Malik Willis that can take what might not be perfect on paper and make it right.
Yeah, DJ, the thing about Malik Willis and some of these young guys that are super athletic, they do make the X's and O's come to life. And I think as a play caller, I would prefer to have someone who can make me right with their athleticism and their improvisational skills. You can see that from Malik Willis. By no means is it perfect from the pocket. Sometimes he gets a little fast and the game seems a little fast for him. But the one thing that he has, his athleticism, is a saving grace. And if you're the Tennessee Titans and you think about having the big hog behind you in Derrick Henry and being able to run the football with a physical offensive line and having a quarterback that is another dimension as a runner, that's almost a perfect dream. And so I can see the vision that the Titans have. Might not happen this year, but you absolutely can see what they want to do down the road.
Yeah, and I mean, just watch. There's guys, and we talk about it. Sometimes you get somebody on a college field, and he looks like he's got decent size. And you get him on the NFL field, and you're like, oh man, he looks little. I mean, we talked about that with Johnny Manziel, right? When he came in, like, golly, he looks so small. I think they played Detroit in that first preseason game. We're like, ooh, that's not good.
Look tiny.
Yes, and then there's sometimes where guys look fast on a college field, and you get him on an NFL field, and it kind of catches up to him. He looked legit fast on a field full of NFL players. Like he's got big time juice. You mentioned it. I think everything's sped up a little bit. I think as he just gets more reps and plays more, you're going to see the game start to slow down for him. But the arm is real. It's live, pushing the ball down the field. He was late to the flat. Could have been a pick six, I think, early in that game. But again, timing, all those things, he just needs to play. I mean, he just needs to get out there and play. And I think you're right. He kind of adds to that bully ball dimension that they have there with Coach Rabel. This is a bully at quarterback. It really is.
So it's deja vu for me and you, because when you were at Baltimore, the rivalry was the Titans. Y'all would go back and forth. So imagine back then it was Steve McNair, Eddie George, big physical players at both positions. So now I'm looking at Malik Willis being paired up with King Henry, and the things that you can do with Malik Willis, not only the college RPO game and all that, but just imagine him running the stretch to Henry on one side, Malik Willis coming out the back door on the backside with the bootleg. It's just so much stuff that you can do to create pressure and put pressure on the defense. I know Mike Vrabel and those guys are being like, oh, he's developing. But you have to get a little excited about the possibilities if he ever gets onto the field.
Yeah, and I feel like we always talk about, they'll create packages and they'll sprinkle these guys in. Teams rarely do that. They don't do it. They just don't take their starter off the field. So it's a theory and a thought, but I don't know that we're going to see it. Let's keep it going here. Let's go to another rookie, Kenny Pickett. I thought Kenny Pickett was outstanding. The numbers kind of speak for themselves. You see him there on the bottom of the field. But I thought if we were going to say that Malik Willis maybe needed to slow things down a little bit, I would say watching Kenny Pickett, Buck, he was poised and comfortable, and maybe even almost sometimes you like to see him maybe pick it up a little bit. But I think it's much easier when you get a guy like that who's just comfortable, and he's playing on his college field. Maybe there's something to that. I don't know, familiarity. But we thought he was the most ready to play. We talked about that coming into the draft process, and man, he did nothing to change our mind in this performance.
DJ, and I'm gonna say this, saying that Mitchell Trubisky looked great for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought it was the most instinctive and aggressive that he has played. But then I see Kenny Pickett go in, and I'm like, oh boy, this is going to be a hard one, right? It's going to be hard because now you go into the next preseason game. You're the coaching staff. If Kenny Pickett replicates this performance, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field, DJ, because it was so easy and slow for him. And that's the thing. Like when you're looking at young quarterbacks in that first preseason game, you're trying to see, does it seem like it's too fast? And at no point did I feel like the game was too fast for Kenny Pickett. It was almost as if it was slow motion. And I know he was playing against the backups, but now what I need to see, if I'm the coaching staff, I got to move him up in the rotation because I want to see him play against some of the better players. Because if he plays well in that game, now we have to have a real conversation about, do we start him from the jump or do we wait? Because he certainly looked like he was ready for it.
I don't remember the name of the song, but I do know it was Ja Rule and Ashanti. And you remember that always on time? Like
On
that's what I'm
time,
watching Kenny
always on
Pickett.
time.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
everything is on
yes,
time. Like
yes.
and that's a lot of times with rookie quarterbacks, they want to see it, right? And that's a lot of college football. You don't have to throw this much anticipation. We want to see it break and then let it go. And then that's that's a process to be able to adjust to the NFL. He was on time, man. The ball was out early, showing trust in what he sees and where guys are supposed to be. So that was an encouraging sign for me. He took a bad sack, but you're kind of nitpicking. I also like the fact that he was working top down. He was looking to take shots, and when those shots weren't there, he just very comfortably and calmly, as a veteran quarterback would, took what was left underneath. So overall, man, you had to be pretty excited if you're the Steelers on what we saw from Kenny Pickett. All right, how about your Tar Heel? We talked about Trubisky competing with Pickett, so you got a chance to have that one Tar Heel starting. I don't think we're going to see Sam Howell start this year with Carson Wentz there, but, man, you got to feel good about your Tar Heel and how he played in his first crack at it.
Hey, DJ, I really like what Sam Howell was able to do. I think the Washington Commanders won. I think you saw that this guy has a lot of potential to be a starting quarterback one day in the fold. The game wasn't too big for him. He did a really good job being able to throw on the move. But like you said with Kenny Pickett, on time, on target. And I don't know what necessarily happened with Sam Howell on draft weekend, but for the Washington Commanders to get this guy in the 5th round, yeah, I think they have to like what they got, because I think not only the value, but the potential suggests that he is a much better player than where he was picked.
100%. And I thought he had a big arm. We talked about it in the draft process, and that translated. Again, you don't know until you see guys on an NFL field. That ball was coming out easy. It was easy velocity that he was giving you in that game. Now, he's still mechanically, there's a couple times he gets way up on his front leg. That's something we talked about in the run-up to the draft. That's just, going to have to work that out of him from a mechanical standpoint, get him a little more balanced. Held the ball a couple times. But, man, Buck, you saw his ability to run. He's tough. We knew that. He's got a live arm. I was impressed with what I saw from Sam Howell and the ability to create and make things happen. That's a great quality to have in a backup to start with, for sure. I mean, he can get you out of a bad play.
So, what's funny? His comparison to me was Baker Mayfield. So to see both of them on the same field, I think you could see Sam Howell at his best doing some of the stuff that we've seen Baker Mayfield do at his best. You're the Washington Commanders. You have to like what he was able to show in his debut. Now it's about giving him more time just to kind of see. But look, I think down the line, he is definitely someone who could be in the mix for them as a quarterback that they can build around.
Yeah, I think you had to be encouraged. And again, I don't know what in the world happened with him on draft day to fall all the way to the 5th round. I mean, I thought, okay, he'll probably go in 2. Yeah, maybe he goes. Maybe he gets to 3. The 5th round. Come on, man. That was ridiculous.
Man,
so anyways, good for him.
Yeah. Really
let's
good
get
for
to
the
one more here.
Where we get it.
Absolutely. Let's get to one more here. Desmond Ridder had solid numbers. When I popped on his tape, Buck, everything was pretty smooth, pretty comfortable. I thought it was funny that we compared him. I think we both compared him to Marcus Mariota coming out. He lands with the Atlanta Falcons, playing with Marcus Mariota. And I'm telling you, if you didn't know the numbers, when you watch plays like this, I mean, you tell me that's not Marcus Mariota. It looks just like him.
Yeah, I think that makes it an easy situation, something easy to build around him, because like this same quarterback. And so the offense doesn't have to change when one guy's in and the other guy comes in. So I like it. Numbers were a little not necessarily what you want, less than 50%, but you can see the potential, the movement skills and stuff. DJ, he makes the game very, very easy for Arthur Smith. I think Arthur Smith now can say, okay, he just needs a mini version of what we would give Marcus Mariota, but he certainly could get on the field and win and be successful at quarterback for them.
But yeah, to me, if you had to get him on the field, like if Mariota got hurt, you got to get him out here. I think it's a heavy, heavy dose of zone read and RPOs, and really kind of be able to get him on the move, be able to use his legs. I think he's really good in that area, especially boot and left. A lot of guys boot and left struggle with it, get their shoulders turned and be accurate. He had a couple throws boot and left. He looked really good in this game. So I was encouraged by what I saw from Desmond Ridder. Matt Corral, we did not get to. The numbers weren't great. We'll see how he does when he gets another crack at it going forward. which leads us to what we're going to get to right after this break. We're going to come back and talk about that Carolina Panthers quarterback battle that's taking place. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. Who's going to emerge victorious there? Who's going to trot out there week one? I think we might already know, even if they haven't announced it. And I think this might be most high-profile battle, Buck, in the NFL right now, the quarterback battle in Carolina. Not only because it's a starting quarterback, but you've got two guys in the same draft class drafted in the top 3 picks. I mean, you don't see this type of thing. So very unique, young guys with their future all kind of in front of them. But I thought maybe we got an answer to the test in terms of who trotted out there week one. What do you think? Baker Mayfield was the one who started against the Commanders in the first preseason game.
It goes against everything that you would say is conventional wisdom. Sam Darnold had been there the entire time. Sam Darnold had been with the team the entire offseason program throughout the summer, taking all the reps or whatever. Naturally, you would assume that for the first preseason game, Sam Darnold would run out with the 1s, Baker Mayfield would come out with the 2s, and away we go. They flipped the order. And so to me, that is just a very telling development that if Baker Mayfield is already playing with the 1s in the first preseason game, Baker Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And it's just a weird thing that someone can win a job basically in 2.5 weeks. But right now, that's what we're tasked with, because the only thing we can go by is he went out with the 1s, the offense moved under his direction, and unless he just falls apart next week, it just seems like the Carolina Panthers are going to rock with Baker Mayfield as a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and I feel like, if you're watching a boxing match and you're late in the match and you say he's got to knock him out, right? Like he's got to knock him out to win the job. It felt like Sam Darnold, even though he's the incumbent there, had to be, it had to be a 70-30. It had to be so lopsided. If anything was remotely close, they're going to go with Baker Mayfield because, frankly, he's new and fresh and they don't know what they have with him. They might feel like they know Sam and know what he is, even though they feel like he's got growth potential. But I think if it's close, it was going to be Baker Mayfield. And the fact that through the training camp portion thus far, that he trots out there with the 1s, and you can say they both played well, right? Well, in order for Sam to get that job, it almost feels like Baker has to tank it. Sam has to play at a high level. That gap has to be so wide for Sam to win this job. I feel like it's kind of stacked against him.
Yeah, I do absolutely believe that it's stacked against him. And so it's one of those things. And what Sam can continue to do is play well when he gets his opportunity, because by all accounts, he played pretty well when he had his chance. But right now it appears that Baker Mayfield is in the lead. And unless he absolutely falls apart down the stretch, Baker Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback when the Cleveland Browns play the Carolina Panthers down the line. He gets a chance to take on his old team as the number 1 for the Panthers.
And look, again, both guys played well. Both guys did a nice job. I think if you're Baker Mayfield right now, it's been said by Coach Rule after the second preseason game was when this decision was going to be made. Again, I use the boxing analogy. Like, he just got to run around the ring and not get knocked out. Like, just no big mistakes. just dancing around. It's going to stay. That's it. Don't have a 3-turnover. No 3-turnover game. Okay, just hey, hand the ball off.
Take the check down every time.
That's it. Yeah.
Swing pass. Nothing.
It's a Floyd. Crazy. He's Floyd Mayweather at this point in time. Hey, just don't get hit. You racked up the points. You already got the points. You're going to win the decision.
Just get on your bicycle. Yeah. I mean, that's literally that's what it is. He's done it. And I think, DJ, to me, the thing that was telling was before we even got to this game, last week when they did the press conference and they talked to Baker Mayfield, the calm confidence that he displayed, I was like, man, this dude, this quiet confidence, he just knows. Yeah, that this is my job. Sam was talking about, we got to compete, we got to do this, and Baker was like, hey, I got it.
We're good.
Let's go do it.
Yeah, because he's seen the scorecard. He already saw the scorecard. He knows where everything is and where everything lies. So, look, the good news for Sam, I think Sam, everybody say, you only get so many opportunities. He'll get another one if he continues to play well here. He's a high pick. Everybody, most everybody loved him coming into the draft process. He might have to do the Mitchell Trubisky thing, where this year is kind of like that in between year. And then next year you get a chance. Maybe he goes next year, and maybe it's one more year of sitting behind somebody. He's going to get another shot at this thing.
Yeah, work on his game. Because here's the thing about Sam Darnold. His personality is such that people won't mind carrying him as a backup quarterback until he has an opportunity. What he needs
He's
to do
still
is,
young.
I would tell him, hey, ball out in these preseason games. Don't allow the circumstances to take away your joy and comes with playing. So still play the game like you're a starter and wait for your time. And if you get an opportunity this year to get on the field, man, just play, because he has enough tape to still pique the interest of teams looking for a quarterback that has some developmental potential. So you just kind of hold on. But yeah, he may have to sit a little bit as a red shirt like Mr. Trubisky did, and then kind of redo it next season.
Yeah, well, that's where we have it right there. We're seeing this as a battle that's maybe already been decided in favor of Baker Mayfield. We'll see. All right, Buck, we're done here for today. We've got another pod coming up tomorrow. Anything else you want to sneak in before we get out of here?
Preseason is upon us. I'm really excited about it. There's nothing like watching a bunch of preseason games where you're still trying to get your flip card and figure out all the numbers in the fourth quarter. So we got another week of that before we have a cut down, but it is fun.
So that thing shrinks.
Yeah, we need to shrink it down the list.
Not a lot of room for notes on that board, as you're definitely learning here in the preseason. Again, a reminder, you guys can find all this Move the Sticks content on NFL's YouTube channel, NFL.com, the NFL Fast channel, and the NFL app. So lots of places where you can take in the Move the Sticks content. We appreciate you guys hanging with us, and we'll catch you next time right here on Move the Sticks.